This is a new move that I came up with that I've been testing out with myself and with my in-person clients, and my in-person clients love it. So I'm going to show you guys and integrate it into this class. This is not one that I've taught before, so this will likely be new to you depending on when you're watching this video and if I put this in another class. We're going to do this in tall kneeling. What's going to happen is we're going to do our right leg first, which means I actually want you to do exactly what I just did there. If you watch my hips here, I'm going to shift over to the right side ever so slightly, kind of pop that hip out a little bit. And I'm going to take as much of my weight as I can through my right knee. So I'm really going to load up that side. I'm going to be sending my left leg back as I go into a bit of a hip hinge, staying loaded into this side. So my left leg is just grazing and floating along the floor. I'm not really putting any weight through it. I'm keeping most of my weight through my right leg. And not only am I just sinking back into a hip hinge, as I go down, I want you to imagine a laser coming out of your pubic bone. I know that's kind of weird, but roll with me here. And as you go down, you're going to try and point that laser over to your front leg or over to the right side, because we're going to do the right leg first. So I'm not just going straight back, and I don't want to fall this way and have to put my hand on the ground. I want you to get into that right hip. Imagine that laser, try and pull that laser across or rotate yourself inwards. Careful you don't just rotate with your chest. I want you to rotate with your pelvis. So again, really imagine that laser coming out from your bottom half. Sink into it as low as you can. You should find that when you come back there, you should feel a decent stretch in the back of your hip, and then you're going to use the back of that hip to drive you forward and come back upright. So we'll go down, we'll twist and turn into that side, really loaded, keeping our weight through that leg. Then you're going to push out of it, you're going to drive out, you're going to load the back of that hip coming out. So give that a few test drives. If you need to have your fingers or have your hands, your blocks in hand for a little bit of balance, you can. You can kind of twist down into it and just hold your blocks, touch them on the ground for a little bit of balance, an extra contact point if you need, but work towards progressing, not using it, and keeping as much weight as you can through that leg that you're working. So let's do it here. We're going to load up that right side. We're going to shift to that side ever so slightly. We're going to offload our left leg. We're really going to load into our right leg, so most of your weight should be going through that right leg right now. You're going to slowly reach back with your foot as you send your butt back behind you, so your chest is going to come down, your spine will move as one piece, and you're turning yourself into that side. You're going to load up that hip, and then you're going to drive out of it. Then we're going to come back down, sink into it, load into that hip, turn that pelvis over to that side, find that good stretch in the back of your hip, drive out of it. Keep going. We're going to go rep 3. I'll give you guys a side view. Butt's going to go back, 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 back. Spine just comes along for the ride. Then we're going to load up that hip. We're going to drive out of it. Keep going. Little shift into that right hip. Pubic bone is pointed towards our right knee. Loading into that hip, using that hip to drive back out of it. Sinking back down, finding a good stretch in the back of that hip, loading, driving out of it. Now we're going to switch over to the left side now. So same thing now, but we're going to shift over to the left side ever so slightly, kind of pop that left hip out a little bit, load up your weight through that leg so that you could lift that other leg off the ground, no problem. And then you're going to slide back. As you slide back, you're going to turn your pelvis towards your left knee, search for a good stretch in the back of that left glute, and then you're going to drive out of it. Right back into it, sinking into that left hip, taking as much weight as you can through that side, turning your pelvis to point towards that leg, finding a good stretch in the back of that glute, drive out of it. Keep going. Rep 3, turn your pelvis to that side, sink into that hip, find that good stretch, and then drive out of it. Give you guys a side view. Same thing, lateral shift to that side, reach back, send your butt back in space, turn your hips towards that left knee, little to no weight going through your right leg, loading up through that left side. You should feel a good stretch in the back of that glute. You're going to use that glute to drive yourself out of it. Let's do one more on this left side. A lot of people really struggle with the left in particular. We're going to come back down, load into it, get a little extra practice here, find a good stretch, and drive out of it.